The censorship blocks continues around the world. Now you can add another country to the listing, and it's in the Middle East, who's now shut down all adult websites. But before we start, don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, share. Thank you for tuning in. As a programming note, if you're watching this toward the end of the week, the next 2 weeks we will be off. There will be content available. We have a special coming on the week of Thanksgiving, as we're spending time with our families. And Saturday we have the Rabbit T. Rabbit Leftovers Marathon, which will air around 12 o'clock Eastern on Odyssey. Do check in the description below. You can go over and subscribe to and get the notifications for when we will air. Also, we will have content, like I said, for the next 2 weeks, and then we'll be back the week after into December for the last episodes of the year for a lot of our content. As we move off on there, we slow down a bit, as that is our slowest part of the year. So thank you once again for tuning in. So hit subscribe. We got a lot coming in 2023. We're working on it. So thank you for tuning in. So let's get on with this particular article. Out of XBiz, Iraqi communications minister blocks all adult websites. Last Friday, Iraqi minister for communications, and sorry if I pronounce this wrong, Hayam al-Yassiri, ordered all pornographic websites in the country blocked. The state-run Iraqi news agency confirmed the blanket ban, quoting a statement by the minister. The news also published by government-aligned newspaper Al-Shabaab. According to Al-Shabaab, a committee tasked by the minister has blocked 400 websites. The English language Middle Eastern news site, the New Arab, reported. The Iraqi government has periodically floating sweeping censorship measures since the chaotic period following the 2003 downfall of the authoritarian Saddam Hussein regime. A bill aimed at censoring adult content, the New Arab reported, was passed in 2015 by the Iraqi parliament, but never implemented. The Transportation and Communications Ministry of the Kurdistan Regional Government subsequently said it will not abide by the law. Adult websites regularly registered millions of visits from the Iraqi-based IP addresses. Those visits are now being routed via VPN apps. That's right, guys. Now be sure to get them VPNs loaded up. In northern Kurdistan region, 26 lawmakers reportedly have signed a petition asking the presidency of the parliament to take similar measures in Kurdistan. Psychological, sociological, and psychiatric scientific research have all proven watching porn has major damage to the social, psychological, and moral aspects of individuals, especially the youth. Omar Gupta, a lawmaker from the Kurdistan Justice Group in Kurdistan Parliament, told the New Arab. Kurdistan government ordered all ISPs to install family package porn filters by default. However, the New Arab reports no action has been taken, and family packages are still unavailable in all internet service companies in the country. Now, understand, and let's take this back a line. Psychological, sociological, psychiatric, scientific research have proven that watching porn has major damage to social, psychological, and moral aspects individuals, especially the youth. You know, for every scientific paper out there that's put out the harms of pornography, there are about a dozen that come out that says that it's all incorrect. Porn content is porn content. It is, what do you call pornography? This is the reason why we have the Miller's test here in the United States. What is pornography? What do you claim pornography? Ask the Middle East what they claim pornography. You'd be surprised what they consider pornography. I bet of the 400 sites that are in there that are blocked in Iraq, some of it is manga and anime. I bet so. And I bet a couple of regular American sites as well. Most likely something like a Netflix type, maybe an HBO Max, depending on their particular content. If they disagree, content. Midnight Pulp probably would be one that would be blocked in that country. Shudder would probably be blocked in that country as well because of the content they have. This is what I've talked about before. Many people have sat there and they distinguish what is pornography. But the thing about it is it's too broad, and it is a way of censoring by putting fear into people. They're saying, "Oh, it causes violence and psychological torment and sociological." A lot of the real, true research papers out there say it's wrong. If anything, it's like more of a health. Basically, you see more women in on places like Pornhub and all that. And back in my day in the VHS era, rentals, a lot of women rented porn movies. Believe it or not. Because they pushed it. It's the perverted man. The back rooms. You see these on Times Square where the guys with the overcoats and shit like that going in to masturbate to movies and all that. Yeah, you had that. Obviously, it was the times have changed. Those things are still around, but not as in abundance as well, because of course you can get most of this stuff at home on the internet, or you could buy the DVD or digital download of the stuff on there. And there's still DVD, there are adult. One thing that hasn't gone away, here's the funny part about the aspect about this. The DVD stores, the rental stores and stuff like that, the adult part of the industry hasn't gone away. There are still stores out there, and they sell the lingerie, they sell the sex toys, and they also sell the videotape, the Blu-rays and the DVDs. Physical media still exists heavily in that industry. They're still manufactured on there. Because the other half is, yeah, you can get the digital download, but you have to identify yourself. Most guys don't want to be identified and do a digital download. There are some that will do it, and I know some overseas on there, and they'll use a VPN to do it on top of that. But you still got to pay for it. You got to pay by credit card. But they call damage. This is the same thing when they talk about video games, violence in movies, music. This is all the stuff that in the 1990s, and it's cropping back up again, that they tried to chastise. They try to say, "Oh, it's harmful. It's been proven." We have people on there. Here's the thing when it comes to research, and it's not only stuff like this, medical research on psychology and all that. The one major thing to prove them right is to be followed up by an independent group. These groups are not as plentiful as they used to be, for the reason is there isn't money in that part of the game. When someone puts out a paper, a research paper, they have no backing by someone independent looking at their research notes and saying, yes, it is correct. This is why we have the problems with the climate change situations, and also the medical and all the injection you need, all the stuff that we've gone through in the last decade or so. There was a group of comedians that got together and did several research papers and had them published, and they were published, understand that, as fact. Goes to show how easy it is to publish a scientific research paper. There was a point where they had, I forgot what year it was, when they were talking about over 100 or 1,000 scientists, climate scientists agree about climate change and stuff like that. And it was a study that's put out. Guess what? Guess who wrote the study? A cartoonist. Someone who has no experience in the scientific realm. He only sent out questionnaires, vague questionnaires, which if you go back and interview those scientists, they will tell you, we did not mean that. I'm trying to remember, there was a guy online that was talking about climate change, and I'm trying to remember, Gary from Nerdrotic mentioned him. And Gary had mentioned that this guy did a line of disasters, weather-related disasters, going back decades, as far as the written history, at the beginning. And you look to the perspective that they say, oh, it's horrible now, it's killing millions and stuff like that. So not really. There were disaster events that killed millions, tidal waves, earthquakes, hurricanes, disasters that killed thousands and millions of people back then. And some of those weather patterns were a lot worse than what we have today. Not saying we don't have bad weather patterns. And obviously, weather does change. It's not denying climate change. It's just the dire that they said is just fear-mongering onto people where they're making money. I'm going to try to get to listen to that, and we'll pass that along to you on there. But this is the same thing that's happening in Iraq and throughout the world. They're going to say porn is bad because there are all these studies that say porn is bad. Can you back up these studies? Can you prove to me that porn is bad for you? India was the one who created the Kama Sutra. Porn has been around going back years. There are statues, there are archaeological stuff in museums and stuff like that that shows, sex. They just literally sex has always been around. Pornography has always been around. Now we have the point where basically we have pornography on our internet. We can get it on DVD, the magazines and stuff like that. But there's nothing wrong with that. And they say, well, what about people like that commit the crimes, the rapes, the murders, the child pedos and stuff like that? They're triggered by many other things. There are people that are triggered by anything. They have mental problems. Someone whistling can trigger them. These are things that psychologists will tell you. People have mental problems. It doesn't matter what they're watching and all that. It's going to trigger them one way or another. This is the aggression of the way people think. But the thing about it is, they think because you watch it, it's going to have adverse bad reactions. Number one, you have the choice. You have the choice to whether to watch it or not. See the difference? It's not plastered in front of you. Now, when it comes to where it says sex sells, yeah, you got sexy pictures, girls in bikinis and gorgeous outfits and stuff like that. And the same thing with the guys. Now, they don't chastise the guys, the situation. They're like, oh, the female stripper, and that's all bad. But yet, and we got a documentary out on that. I forgot who is it, Hulu? About Chippendales. They don't discuss, the guys taking off their clothes at Chippendales or any other. And then they talk about the prostitutes. Oh, the women prostitutes, they're on there. But they're guy prostitutes too. They're men in the prostitute business as well. Two to tango, remember that. Straight, gay, don't matter. Trans, it don't matter. This is a fight not for pornography. It is a fight for entertainment. It is a fight for freedom of speech. You, the viewer, don't have to watch everything everyone else watches. But you have the choice if you want to watch it or not. You have that choice. What Iraq is doing is taking away that choice, dictating what you can watch on your screen. And it doesn't, and you have to understand, it will never stop at pornography. It will never stop on pornography. Read some of these bills. They are so vague. They're written vague. And you know why they're written vague? It's purposely done so they can do this. Once again, as I brought up in other videos, the Simpsons episode. A great Simpsons episode where Marge takes the task to stop Itchy and Scratchy from being violent on TV. Once that's over, the group that helped her push this onto comes to her and says, listen, we have to go protest at the museum. Says, why? They have the Statue of David. We don't want our kids to see the Statue of David. Why? It's a work of art. Remember that. They'll start at pornography, demonize it, and say, oh, we got to get rid of it to protect the family, to protect the children, to protect the psyche of the people of the world. And when they're done with that, they'll go after everything else, including art, freedom of expression, novelization, movies, books. You yourself talking, in other words, going online saying, well, I disagree with that. We've had stories like this where people say they want to redefine what is obscenity. There is a politician here in the United States that wants to redefine obscenity they want to go back to 1973 rules, pre-1973. That will eliminate the Miller's test. That will open up a whole can of worms. And, Lenny Bruce, George Carlin, Harold Reams, The Doors. You could look at all the history of that, and of all that entertainment, all of it was deemed obscene. And people were arrested. They want to go back and start arresting people for their beliefs, their opinions. It's opinions that they want to get rid of. Remember that. They don't want you discussing, hey, something doesn't smell right with what went on last week. They don't want you to say that. Even though there are questions, they're legitimate questions, and they should be right out answered. It's not giving any controversy or any misinformation. There are some things that are questionable, and it should be answered. We need our facts and we need our evidence. Remember that. See, here's the other half of this situation. Once you start to decide what is obscene, what's not obscene, you start to move in to the laws, to basically, when you go to trial, instead of being innocent until proven guilty, you become guilty until you're proven innocent, which that has happened in the United States lately. Our law situates, the way our law situates is you're innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. And there are those who want to take that away from you. Yes, we've gone into this direction for a reason, because this is the starting point and this is the end game. There's a movie called Equilibrium with Christian Bale. That's the level they want to go to. That's the level they want to be at. They want to be at that level, controlling everyone. Kids are just bombarded with propaganda day in, day out. And that's what's happening now. Check your kids' scores. If you have children, check your kids' scores, their education scores. They're not as high. They should be reading, writing, arithmetic. You should be learning script. Those in high school should be learning trades. Also, that we need to bring, and there are some politicians out there that says we need to bring back trade classes into the high schools once again. You wonder why we're constantly buying from overseas, because we don't have the workforce anymore. We don't have the workforce that can make a great shirt, that make a great pair of pants, a skirt, you know, that be able to properly grow food. Even though we have the farmers and we do have some of these factories, but not in the abundance as it was. There was a time we were, you know, we were admired for what we created. And like I said, this is how it starts and this is how it ends. So tell me in the comments below your thoughts on the situation. And I know I have people in that part of the world. I know we have people in India and in Singapore. And I think we have people in the in the Qatar area, in that area that watch our show. So don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, share, and I do want to hear from you. I really, truly do want to hear from you guys. So let me know. We'll see you on the next video. Thank you for tuning in, and bye-bye now.